welcome to another amazing week of Case Files with Kat.
And to Ashley.
Oh, it's so good to see you, my friend.
Yes.
After the long break.
I haven't seen you since last year. Just kidding.
Oh, that's so good.
You're not drinking.
Good.
Is it
Oh,
new
shit.
you?
Hold on. Nope. Forgot. Keep going.
I'm drinking coffee at 7 p.m. I'm sure this will go well.
And I knew beers. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. How did I forget this?
I don't know. Oh, what is that?
I know it. So you know how I normally have the mini boss?
Yes.
The mini boss from Eureka Heights.
Yes.
This is the final boss.
Oh, shoot, look at that. I love the can. They always have the funniest, like on the mini boss, and that is just so good.
So this is a double IPA. Oh
Okay.
shit. So we're gonna see how tonight goes.
Okay.
It's about to go down. So
All
so
right.
Imperial IPA, final boss. Let me see if it says anything fun. It says, this Imperial IPA is packed full of hops, joy, and more hops. Unlock your boss status with the magical aromas and flavors within. It'll be sure to transport you to the utmost secret level. Ooh. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. All right. What do you got?
Coffee from
No
Buc-ee's.
shit. Okay. Do you want your kiwi strawberry cider?
Sure.
All right.
I'm
Oh,
sure that
hold
will
on.
mix well with coffee.
Look, we're so ready. We're so ready to...
Welcome to 2025, everyone. As you can see, it is not a new year, new podcast. We are the same. Probably worse. It's been 2 weeks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She just ran in here with this St. Arnold's strawberry kiwi cider. I've never had it, but I'm sure it's going to be delicious because I really just love everything from them.
I hadn't bought that for you before, so...
Yes.
I hadn't bought you a 6-pack because, you know...
Well, I've got all those beers you got me for Christmas that I'm trying to remember to bring every episode. So when we record next time, we'll have them. It says a most saintly cider. So fresh, so fruity.
Okay, try it.
Okay. Like I said, I'm mixing
we're
it with
both-
coffee. So
We're both trying ours for the first time. Cheers.
Cheers. That is very interesting. No, because
Mine just tastes like an IPA.
No,
Yours is interesting.
I say that because it says strawberry kiwi, so I was expecting it to, like, I don't normally like kiwi, to be honest.
Oh.
But like the
kiwi
fruit,
is sort of like not flavored. There's no flavor to kiwi.
no flavor of kiwi. That's what I was going to say. It tastes like strawberry cider, and
Okay.
it's amazing.
Yay!
I loved it. But that's why I said it was interesting, because I taste no kiwi. It tastes like strawberry cider. It's really, really good. Anyways, it's 5.6. It's it's a good cider.
Mine's 8.4.
This is really good.
Yay!
I think I'm just going to drink and not tell my story. Just drink the whole 6-pack, pass out in your driveway. It'll be
We
fine.
had to go and be social today, so we're just sort of like decompressing. We had to shake hands, kiss babies, fun networking at the chamber. What's up?
I'm all people out.
I got all the family just walking around.
We're in a new room.
Not really. Well, it's the same room but decorated.
I feel like we all just organized over our break. I got
100%.
so sick of looking at my space from being home for 2 weeks that I just ordered all of this crap off Amazon to reorganize. So I reorganized my room, my closet, my bathroom. I have all kinds of Will it stay that way? Probably not. But yeah, this is looking great.
I know, it looks good.
You guys should come visit.
You want to come visit? Let me know. We have the room that we record in. We call it the podcasting room. It's been many things. It's been the costume room. It's been the playroom when the kids were really little. It's been a lot. It was the poker room. But it's been the podcasting room for many years now. But Jason, during COVID, and Jason and I both started playing board games, but the wizard, went kind of nuts with board games.
I love this.
Because he used to do D&D during COVID. There wasn't a time to do that. So we started to play board games, and then it just became this obsession. And now we have a couple of hundred, and we have just most, but not all of them in 2 9x9 square shelves. and they're on one wall of the podcasting room. So, yeah, that's a lot. It's a little overwhelming. It's a lot. Know. It's a lot. And that's not even all of them. That's the part.
I just want to play games. Let's just not record. Let's just drink.
That call 911 is yours.
I can't help to notice that the metal sign that I got him about board games isn't in here. I'm a little offended.
He didn't decorate.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
But yeah, we have so much.
It looks good.
Yeah, we have so much. But yeah. So and then Anderson had his birthday yesterday.
Yes.
He turned 10. He got a new bed. Which is great. He's like I know.
I saw the picture and I want it.
I mean, it's like a perfect bed for like a gaming kid. Yeah. So we're pretty excited, but like, hopefully it'll get him excited to sleep in his own bed and not like walk downstairs and come into ours when we're so asleep we don't even notice. Aww. We don't even notice. But yeah. So what was your bedroom like?
I think you're referring to the story I told you that you thought everyone would love to hear.
Yes.
Everyone loves to hear about my trauma. When I was little and we lived on a farm.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, like no neighbors, like cornfields everywhere in North Carolina in a remote city. The house was built differently. Like the attic wasn't above you. Like you...
Was that not normal?
I don't have any idea. I didn't realize it wasn't normal until I started seeing other people's houses with attic. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, I didn't know it wasn't normal. But you would walk into the attic versus going upstairs. Mm-hmm. But it was very much an attic. Like it was totally different than the room. It was like wood everywhere. Like it was an attic.
What was underneath it? You don't know. Okay.
I have no idea. Probably another part of the house. Okay. I have no idea. Anyways, that room happened to be mine. And I would always have nightmares when I was little that something was going to kill me from the attic. Like something was going to come out. Like it was always something different. Something was always going to kill me. And so my grandmother always had to sit on the foot of my bed until I fell asleep. And God forbid I woke up because I would freak out.
Oh, so even like throughout the night?
Yeah.
Throughout the night?
She would go back to her room, which was literally just across the hallway.
But that's when you would run in there.
But I would I would turn on the radio super loud. Like I would just huddle in my little bed staring at that door. It was so weird. Like nothing ever happened. It was just for whatever reason, I thought something was going to come out of there.
Okay. I'm sure there's more than one person other than me that is like hell to the no.
But then as I told you, in the other room, there was this little door in the wall that had a little lock on it. And it was like tiny, like you would have to crawl in, like Caroline, like you said, Coraline.
Like Coraline.
I never opened it. I don't know what the hell was behind it. I don't want to know. I don't know. But I always thought
there was a little door that was locked in your room.
In the other room.
That you like a door.
Yeah, like in the wall. It was like I thought it was like I don't know. I think my grandparents told me it was storage or something when I got older.
To crawl into it.
You would have had to. Yeah, it was little. Like it was like little on the wall. I don't know, man.
Is this the same house that had the Charlie Chaplin doll?
Yes, it is. Fuck that doll.
And fuck that doll.
Yeah, I tried to get rid of it so many times and it would just keep coming back. So I don't know what
That's like fucking Annabelle and shit.
I don't know. Like I said, when I was in middle school, I threw that doll out of the window of our house. And the next day it was like,
right there.
Back in the other room. People think I'm crazy, but it absolutely happened. I hate that doll.
I hate that doll. That doll scares me and I don't even know it. Oh, and then you went to that
antique mall and I hadn't seen that doll in years and there it was. It looked just like the one we had.
What antique mall?
The East Bay Antique Mall that's over there off of NASA now. But for those who don't know, Charlie Chaplin was oldies.
Yeah.
Old folks.
Silent film. Yeah.
Yeah. And my grandparents had a doll And when I was real little, I had friends over and they started freaking out one night. And when I asked them why, like this is 10 or younger, I was like maybe 7 or 8. Both of them separately told me they saw the doll moving from one side of the dresser to the other. And then forever moving forward, I was freaked out from that doll. And I would try to get rid of it. I tried to throw it away. I threw it out a window. When we moved to another state, I thought it was gone. I don't know where that doll is now. I don't care to know. When I saw it at the antique mall, I thought I was going to have a panic attack and die.
Was it that?
I don't know. Didn't check. Didn't hang around to find out. I did not care.
Oh my God. Guys, my eyes are like wide open and I'm just staring at it.
I don't fuck with dolls.
I hate dolls. I do. I hate dolls so much. Olivia didn't like dolls either. Remember we got her that like American Girl doll. She was like, I don't want that doll in my room.
And did you have to put it in the garage and stuff?
Yes, I had to give it away. I had to give we spent all this money and we gave it away because she was like,
I can't blame her.
That doll, she would have dreams about this doll.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not even, I wasn't scaring her, but I was like, okay, you don't want it. And I remember it being like on the stairs and I put it in her room. She was like, I don't want this in my room. And I said, why? She said, I can't tell you. Like, she didn't want to talk about it.
I don't blame her.
And it was like, you could just see fear. And I was like, okay, no big deal. And I just called my neighbor. I'm like, hey, do you want this doll? She's like, yeah. And so she took all of it, all the accoutrement, like all the house and the clothes and the stuff, everything that we had went with her. And I was just like, take it all. Like I wasn't going to question or like discount her feelings about it. But I just...
Well, also, I've seen enough horror movies to know I don't want any fucking dolls. Anywhere that I am.
100%. Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm sure there are people going, yeah, get rid of those dolls. I'm sure there are people who are saying that. But yes. Okay.
Anyways.
So anyway, I'm so glad we're back. I'm so glad we're back.
I hope you guys are still here.
It's only been 12 minutes. Okay, let's go.
Okay, well, I guess if we have to do this. So I'll just, before I tell my story, I actually typed all this out and then I was like, I wonder if I put this into Chat GPT, it would organize it better. So I put it in Chat GPT and I was like, can you take this story that I've written and organize it in a better fashion? Don't delete anything, just organize it better. So when it did it, it took my 9 pages to 4 pages. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm just going to do my 9-page story of chaos. I don't know how it took it from 9 to 4, but we're doing the chaotic version, which is mine. So anyways,
I like it.
Anywho, I just thought I would share that little tidbit. Okay, I'm back to doing disappearances because I haven't really done a true just disappearance in a long time. The other one was kind of a disappearance, but it was like a weird mystery unsolved
Is this
thing.
unsolved or is
This
solved?
is unsolved.
Oh, it is unsolved. Okay.
But it's not it's strange, but it's not like
supernatural.
Yeah, it's not like a weird situation like the other one.
Okay.
So Suzanne Lyall, a 19-year-old college student, disappeared without a trace on March 2nd, 1998 in Albany, New York. She was a promising science major at SUNY Albany. SUNY. And so she was last seen leaving her part-time job at a computer store in the Crossgates Mall. Her case has since become one of the region's most enduring mysteries, and it has haunting questions that remain. It's still unsolved 2 decades later. It's just I said endearing, I meant enduring. But anyways, it's strange because when I start talking about it and I talk about some of the things that happened, it's just, you're going to be like, yeah, I know who did it. But supposedly there's no evidence of this person doing it. But when I start talking about it later, you can be like, okay, obviously. No one else agrees with this, though. We're just the cold case crackers.
Just the cold case. I mean,
anyhow,
they didn't hire us.
I know.
They should. I feel like I would have either been an investigator or I would have like in another life.
Yeah. I would have liked to have been, or if I had known that was a job.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I'd have been so judgmental though. I probably would have been fired. Anyways.
Yeah, but I don't
I feel like he did it. I don't need any evidence. Case closed.
He did it. Solved. Thank you.
Oh, anyways, Suzanne, known to her friends as Susie, was a bright and introverted young woman with a knack for computers and technology. She was born on April 6, 1978, and she grew up in Boston Spa, New York, and was the youngest daughter of Doug and Mary Lyall's 3 children. She was deeply loved by her family and was described as independent and creative. She would call or email her parents almost daily and would also contact her boyfriend daily. So her talents extended beyond academics. She was, like I said, very creative. She wrote poetry. She would create computer programs. She was just very smart, very focused. She wasn't like the partying type. She was very introverted. She had her boyfriend. She had her family. She had like some friends, but like she was very much not your typical college person, right?
Like, she like you?
Kind of, right? Like she didn't go out and party. She really cared about school. Yeah. She worked. She just did her own, that's who she was. Anyways, in late February of 1988, Suzanne's manager at Babbage's, your guess is as good as mine if that's how it says Babbage. Okay. Babbage's. Okay. That's the computer store. Recalled that she had been stressed about an upcoming midterm exam. So this is 1 month before she goes missing. Okay. She had been stressed about an upcoming midterm exam where she needed not only to pass, but to excel on it. She took it the morning of March 2nd, which is the day she disappeared, and attended another class at 4 p.m. After that, she went from the school's north campus, where she lived in the dorms, to her job. Suzanne followed her normal routine, like she went to class, she took the exam, she went to her afternoon class, and then she went to her job. That's what she would normally do. Nothing was different. Nothing was unusual at this point. Nothing was unusual at work. After finishing her shift at Babbage's computer store, like I said, at Crossgates Mall, she clocked out at exactly 9:20 p.m. Witnesses reported seeing her board a Capital District Transportation Authority bus heading towards the university campus where she lived. The ride would have taken about 20 minutes, and the last confirmed sighting of Suzanne was when she exited the bus at approximately 9:40 p.m. at the Collins Circle bus stop. So that would have been the 20-minute bus ride. Now, this bus stop was located a very short walk from her dorm, like very short. Like, I don't know the exact, but basically they said you could see her dorm. Like, it wouldn't have been a 2-mile walk from the bus stop. The bus driver who regularly worked this route confirmed that he had seen her get on the bus. However, he was not certain that he had seen her exit the bus at the Collins Circle stop on campus. He could only say with certainty that she was not on the bus when he reached the end of his route downtown. A friend of Suzanne is the one who said she saw Suzanne exit the bus at Collins Circle stop, which would have been that last confirmed sighting at 9:40. So it was someone who knew Suzanne that said she saw her get off the bus. Now, what happened to Suzanne after she got off this bus to this day remains a mystery, because that, again, was the last time anyone saw her again.
Okay, go ahead. I'm already like, I have so many questions, but I'm going to let you finish the story. I have so many questions already. Okay, go.
So she gets off the bus. Mm-hmm. In theory, she would be walking to her dorm room. Mm-hmm. Suzanne's dorm room showed
a friend sees her.
A female friend saw her get off the bus.
Okay.
Now, I will say, I don't know if I put this down anywhere else, but I will say the person did say that she didn't see Suzanne like with anybody, didn't see her like necessarily get into a car with anyone, but I mean the friend wasn't like hanging around, you know what I mean? Like it just happened in passing, saw her get off the bus. Anyways.
I'm suspicious of the friend. She's the last person to have seen her alive. But go ahead. Okay.
So
go ahead.
Again, as a reminder, in theory, she would be making that short walk to her dorm. Suzanne's dorm room, however, showed no signs of having her returned that night. This is a quote from her mother. When the dorm room was looked at later, it looked as if she had planned to come back. Her hairdryer was on the bed. All of her personal items were there. She had money on the top of her desk, change, things like that, her mother said. So basically, it wasn't like she packed up and ran away. She had all of her personal belongings there, except for what she would have had on her. Like her wallet wasn't there, for example. Her ID wasn't there. Like she would have had those things on her. But for all purposes, it looked like she hadn't packed to go away. You know what I mean?
Okay.
On March 3rd, her boyfriend, this is the next day, Richard Condon. I don't really care how you say his name because I don't like him.
Oh, okay.
His name is Richard. We'll just go with that. Yeah. Ironic that it's short for Dick. Well, Dick is short for Richard. Anyways, he was... A lot of the articles said he was several years her senior, but never said the exact age difference.
Okay.
They attended different colleges in Albany area, but they had met in high school. Okay. I would assume that would mean he was a senior and she was a freshman. I don't know. It said several years her senior.
3 years, probably 3 years.
Anyways, he attended a different college in the same area. And he had called Doug and Mary to tell them that Suzanne had not returned to her dorm the night before and was missing. She usually phoned or emailed him after returning from work and had not answered his calls to her dorm room. Okay, but...
Why not call the cops?
To me, like, just because she's not answering you, how do you know she didn't make it back to her room? Like, maybe she's just busy. Maybe she just didn't want to talk to you. Maybe she was tired. But he specifically told them that she had not returned from work and was not answering his calls to her dorm room.
Oh, so he doesn't know that she has not returned from work.
Nothing said that he went there and saw her. He just said that he called her parents the next day and said that she normally phones or emails him when she returns from work and was not answering his calls to her dorm room.
Okay.
Her parents reported her missing on March 3rd, 1998. They called the campus police to formally report her missing, and they were told that the brief absences were not uncommon for college students, so they should not worry, and it was likely that she would reappear soon.
God, why does that make me so mad every time? I think it's like wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I feel like it's wishful thinking.
Laziness, don't want to do paperwork. I mean, and it's true. College students, I mean, they may not.
Yes, like 20-somethings disappear. Yeah. But, like, how many stories do we do where they're like, the cops are like, yeah, well, maybe she just kind of bounced. I feel like you should
at least check it out, right? Like, just to reassure the parents. Like,
not to dismiss it. I feel like the dismissiveness is what bothers me.
Did she use her student ID? Like, did she... put in a code for the dorm? Like, could you not have at least checked those things? Like,
that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
But they did nothing. They said that she'll just come back soon. So
it's so dismissive. I think, that's what bothers me. Oh, it's fine. They just ran away and they're 12. You know what I mean?
They're just drunk somewhere. She's probably at
she's 11. Apartment. You know what I mean? Just like, it just makes me like, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So despite the assurances from the campus security, the parents did worry, as this behavior was very unlike their daughter. Susie was not a risk taker, her father said. She did not party, she did not drink, and she did not do drugs. And again, she was very introverted. This was just not her.
It would be like if you disappeared.
Yeah.
And that would be like...
Somebody would know.
If we couldn't get a hold of you, like somebody would be like, hey, have you heard from Ashley? Like, because you are so like on top of things.
Yeah. Like, and I wouldn't have left my dogs.
And right.
Or money. She left money.
Coins though.
Well, her mother said money and change. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like there was just, anyways.
Okay.
The parents were very worried. They knew they know their daughter. And I feel like that's all that should have been necessary for someone to take them seriously. Like,
but I think that the idea is that
parents are
parents, you don't know what your kids are really doing. You think you know your kid, but you don't really know your kid.
Yeah. except for everyone described her that way. You know what I mean? Her boss, her coworkers,
I know.
her friends, her boyfriend.
But the cops didn't know that because they didn't ask him any questions.
So eventually, an officer did go to her next scheduled class to see if she was there. She was not there. Shocking. Her suite mates, which I assume is another word for roommates.
In a dorm, they have
mates.
They have the rooms over here, and they share the living space, the kitchen and living. So two over here and two over here. Yeah, I didn't either.
You've seen enough. Okay, great. I'm sorry.
I've discovered.
I'm sheltered. I live under a rock. Her suite mates said that Suzanne did not return to her room on the night of March 2nd. And they knew this because they would have heard her keys jingling as they normally did when she returned. The parents also called Suzanne's bank.
The Nass walls.
They called her bank. And I'm surprised the bank released this information because, in today's times, they would not. But they informed the bank that she was missing. And the bank informed them that their daughter's debit card had been used to withdraw $20 exactly from an ATM at Stewart Shop's convenience store in Albany at approximately 4 p.m. 2 days later. Or no, I'm sorry. It had been used approximately at 4 p.m. the day she went missing.
Oh.
Okay. 2 days later, a delay which her father would later criticize, the campus police finally agreed that, they would look into it. When the campus police looked into it, they agreed that Susan missed another midterm test and she wouldn't have done that. So she must really be missing.
She was working, though, that day at 4 p.m. Is the day after?
Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
The day after. Day after.
She works. She goes home. It's late at night. And then that's the last time she's seen. But the next day at 4 p.m., her credit card is used.
So she went on March 2nd, she takes that midterm she was worried about. She has another class that ends at 4 p.m.
Right.
She takes the bus to work. She works till 9:20. She gets on the bus. Last confirmed sighting is 9:40 p.m. March 2nd. March 3rd, 4 p.m. someone uses her debit card. Ooh. 2 days after that, the campus police finally confirm that they think she's missing because she missed another midterm test, as well as her other scheduled classes. So she had not attended any classes. And that her disappearance was not a typical case of a missing undergraduate. And they called in the New York State Police for assistance basically 5 days later.
That is so much time.
So here's what the police kind of know in her case. Okay. Suzanne's campus ID card was used at a computer terminal around 4 a.m. on March 3rd, which was several hours after she was last confirmed seen.
At a what terminal?
A computer terminal, so I'm assuming somewhere on campus, like to get into a building.
Oh, so or like an internet cafe kind of probably thing.
Yeah, just somewhere on campus.
Where
she scanned her student ID.
Okay.
This activity raised the possibility that someone had taken her card because it was unclear whether Suzanne had used it herself. Oh. Suzanne's bank card, like I mentioned, was used March 3rd to withdraw $20, which is a small amount. However, that small amount was very consistent with her regular spending habits because she didn't have a lot of money. And a couple of days before this, she had been complaining to her mom about not having enough money. And her mom had offered her some and she said no. So this raised better flags for them because, why was she withdrawing money when she was just talking about not having money? Anyways, unfortunately, the ATM's surveillance cameras were not operational at the time, preventing identification of the user. Hear that a lot, too.
Oh my gosh. I just wish everyone that worked at a bank, fix your cameras.
Well, there was no camera at the computer terminals on campus to determine if it was really the student using the student IDs to get in, which I think is bizarre. And there was no working camera at this ATM.
This was in 1998, though.
Yeah.
So
I guess.
it's a little bit different. Like, not everyone even had a cell phone then. So,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All right, go ahead.
Suzanne's belongings, including her backpack, student ID, and ATM card, were never found.
Oh my gosh.
She was last seen wearing a long black trench coat, a black shirt, jeans, and those became critical details when the search efforts began.
What she was wearing?
Yes.
Okay.
The investigation started to face immediate challenges. Her status as a college student and young adult led to the initial assumptions that she left voluntarily. So this really delayed an urgent response. I mean, they lost days of evidence of searching because they didn't want to listen to the parents. And her parents adamantly refuted that she was not a runaway. She did not leave on her own. They emphasized that she had really close ties to her family, and she was a creature of habit. She never broke her routine. She was very, very stuck on that. And they often blamed that delay in the fact that their daughter was never found. So there were very extensive searches conducted around the campus. They had ground searches. Police and volunteers scoured wooded areas, campus grounds, nearby neighborhoods. The family distributed flyers, and her disappearance actually received significant media coverage in the Albany area. They brought in dogs to track her scent, but no leads came from any of that.
Wow.
Despite these efforts, no physical evidence and no eyewitness accounts provided a clear direction. So, in the first 2 weeks of the investigation, however, police looked into 270 leads and searched 300 total acres near Collins Circle, including the wooded areas and the lake in the eastern end of the Albany Pine Bush, which was across the interstate, which was part of the campus.
270 leads, though. That's a lot.
But, sometimes people just want to be
Get
part of
on
the
there,
story.
Yeah.
The ATM withdrawal drew particular attention. The Stewart's shop where it was located had a security camera, the working security camera, but it focused on the area around the cashier and did not show the ATM. So it could not be determined who was using it at that time.
Oh.
A man who may have used the card at the time wore a Nike baseball cap and was sought as a possible witness. However, later on, they determined that guy just happened to be shopping at that time. He didn't actually have anything to do with it. They found him, they interviewed him, they really investigated him, and he honestly had nothing to do with it. Whoever used the card, however, knew her PIN number because they were able to withdraw the money. Richard, the boyfriend, told the police that only he and Suzanne knew it. She always only withdrew exactly $20 anytime she went to the ATM. So he knew how much she would withdraw. That's the amount that was withdrawn on the day she was missing. And they knew the PIN number. Mind you, he willingly told the police that only those two had the PIN number. Yeah, he's a free man. Suzanne's parents said that Stewart's at the intersection of Central Avenue and Manning Boulevard.
We're going to get sued.
I don't give a fuck. I hope he's dead. At the intersection of Central Avenue and Manning Boulevard, 2 miles. So this place was 2 miles from the southeast of the campus. It was not in a part of the city that Suzanne would go to. The clerk on duty at the time did not recognize pictures of her, had not seen her, said there was no one that they could say was there that looked like her. Police eventually, like I said, located that man with the Nike cap. They truly believe, like I said, that he had nothing to do with it. The bank also told the parents and the police that their records showed that Suzanne's card was used 2 other withdrawals from different ATMs on the day she disappeared, the next day. One had been in the morning at a machine at the Collins Circle bus stop. No, I'm sorry. It was March 2nd. So had been in the morning at the machine at Collins bus stop, which would have made sense. She was going to school. The other was in the mall at about the time she would have arrived there for work. Both had been for $20. So it seemed very likely that she made those 2, just not that third one at Stewart's. Mark, her father, however, could not imagine why her daughter, Mary, the mother, could not imagine why her daughter would have made 2 withdrawals in the same day.
I was just about to ask the same thing. I was like, she was worried about money. She withdraws $20. I get it, $20, but again, $20 in the same day.
I get it. Like maybe you wanted something, like it's been a stressful day. But you're going to work.
But she didn't seem like that kind of, if she was stressing about money, I don't think she would have
taken 40
so
out
frivolous.
And then taken another 20. Yeah. So there was a convicted rapist who had violated parole and left the area around the time Suzanne disappeared and was briefly considered a suspect, but police were able to interview and exclude him after he was returned to New York from Illinois, based on the bus driver's uncertainty as to whether Suzanne had indeed gotten off the bus at Collins Circle. Police also began considering the possibility that she might not have returned to the campus at all that night. Some investigators even theorized that she might not have even gotten on the bus at all. There's a ton of theories of all. I didn't even put all of them down. There's a ton. So, 2 months after her disappearance, an unsettling discovery was made. Susie's Babbage's name tag, like her work name tag, was found in the parking lot roughly 90 feet away from the bus stop. It was found on the opposite side of the parking lot, leading away from her dorm room. Adding to the strangeness is the fact that it was an old name tag and not the one she had been using at the time she went missing. It's unclear how long it might have been sitting there or how it had gotten there in the first place. To me, it's strange because they scoured, their words, not mine, the wooded areas, this campus, all of these things, but you didn't find the name tag lying in the parking lot. It was almost like either it was placed there to be found, or they didn't do
as good of a job
as they said. Police found no forensic evidence from it.
But it was like an older version of a name tag. So she could have lost it.
But still, why didn't they find it until 2 months after her disappearance? It's weird. Where did it come from?
Maybe the boyfriend took it and she's like, oh shit, I need a new name tag. And I don't know. He's trying to throw him off the scent. That's a theory. I don't know. Go ahead.
Like I said, no forensic evidence came from it. Another possibility came from
fingerprints or anything.
Wow. I mean, who knows how long it had been sitting there? Again, did they miss it when they did their searches? True. Anyways, it was found on the opposite end of the parking lot, leading away from her dorm room, as if she had been walking the opposite way, like as if she had gotten off the bus and gone across the parking lot and never gone towards her room. Another possibility came from a coworker of Suzanne's at the store. The coworker came forward to report that Susie had spoken to them about being stalked by an unknown man in the weeks leading up to her disappearances. However, for whatever reason, the coworker said that Susie did not appear to fear this person. Police have never been able to entirely rule out Richard, Suzanne's boyfriend, as a suspect in the disappearance. Mary, again, that's her mother, later told CBS News that her daughter had on several occasions tried to end the relationship, but Richard would always become emotional and she would stay with him. After the disappearance, he told police...
Red flag.
After the disappearance, he told police that Suzanne was his fiancée. A development in their relationship that the parents said Suzanne, who called and emailed them daily, had never informed them of. Matter of fact, nobody else had ever heard any, her refer to him as a fiance or that they were engaged. No one had ever heard him refer to her as his fiance. This was news to literally everybody. 2 weeks before Suzanne disappeared, Mary recalled that she and her daughter had been on a trip to see Mary's mother, so Suzanne's grandmother, and asked if they could stop at Richard's house, which was along the way. Suzanne said she wanted to give Richard a Valentine's Day card. Well, nothing unusual happened during the stop. Mary said in 2012 that she wondered if her daughter had in fact given Richard a Dear John letter ending the relationship. Due to the increased tension she seemed to see in her daughter's life, she began wondering if Suzanne might have become involved with someone else. However, police have never found any evidence that she was. Because again, her mother insisted, and even a coworker insisted, that Suzanne tried to leave Richard so many times. Like, she wanted out of this relationship. She was not happy, and he would always act like it was the end of the world. One of those, like, I'll kill myself if you leave.
That is abuse.
And he would not. And he's an older man and just would not let her leave. He just...
Not by much, but yeah.
Still, he was just...
Power and control. Power and control. I'm going to control you.
She had to call him every day when she got home from work to tell him that she had made it home. Anyways, Richard had an alibi, supposedly, for the time that Suzanne disappeared. He was playing video games with a friend, and that friend confirmed this when asked by police.
Okay.
After his initial conversation with the police, though, where he had this supposed alibi where his friend claimed they were playing video games together, Richard refused to take a lie detector test and told them he would be interviewed again only if his lawyer was present. He refused to answer questions from the media about the case even years later, and his mother told CBS in 2010 that he had married and moved on with his life and everyone else should too.
Ugh. That's a horrible thing to say. Okay.
In 2005, a man named John Reagan, who was facing trial for a 1993 kidnapping in Connecticut, was arrested after trying to abduct a female student at Saratoga Springs High School by pulling her into his van from the street near the school. Since Saratoga Springs is a short distance from Ballston Spa, the Lyalls' hometown, police and the family wondered if he might be responsible for Suzanne's disappearance. Even after Reagan was convicted of the attempted kidnapping in Saratoga, however, he refused to discuss the case with investigators. So this makes two people who have absolutely refused to talk about the case. Richard, her boyfriend, refused to talk about the case, refused to answer questions, didn't want to be interviewed, didn't want to take lie detector tests, wouldn't speak to the police. Even though he admitted he knew the PIN number, he knew her spending habits, all of those things. And then this man who was convicted of a kidnapping wouldn't discuss the case with investigators. If you had nothing to do with it and you're being convicted of another crime, why wouldn't you just be like, no, I didn't do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you just not discuss it? Like, why wouldn't you just say I didn't do it? Not that I think John Reagan did it, but it's just weird that he wouldn't even discuss it.
So you still think it's the boyfriend and not this guy?
I 100% think it's the boyfriend. Because how would this random guy being charged of a kidnapping know her PIN number and know how much she would constantly withdraw?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Whoever kidnapped her knew the PIN number and knew exactly how much she would withdraw to not throw suspicion off. You know what I'm saying? And somebody used her student ID. So
why wouldn't it just have been the boyfriend?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Rather than this guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was this guy. I think it's just weird he wouldn't discuss the case.
Yes. Okay.
Investigators pondered a connection to a similar disappearance of another University Alabama undergraduate. Sorry, I lost my place. Karen Louise Wilson, who had disappeared 13 years earlier near the last place Suzanne had been seen. On March 27th, 1985, around 7:20 p.m., Wilson was last seen in the 1600 block of Central Avenue in New York. Wilson was last seen getting on a bus at the Butcher Block restaurant on Central Avenue. Wilson was never and has never been heard from again, and authorities believe that she was kidnapped. An unidentified man was spotted in the vicinity around the time that she vanished, and authorities have not found anything to find a true connection between the two, although the circumstances of them are very similar. Both were going to the same college on the same campus. Both were last seen getting on a bus or getting off a bus, same general area. Honestly, the same month, just different years.
How many years apart?
So that was 1985, and
this was 1998.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have been the boyfriend. That they aren't connected. If you think it's the boyfriend, that's not possible.
Well, I'm not saying that it's. I'm saying like that is like the police thought it was similar. I think it's similar. I don't necessarily know that
it's.
I just think it's strange that something so similar happened to another college student years before.
He could have been a copycat.
The reason I think it's the boyfriend, and we'll talk about more later, is because he knew what campus she was at, so he could have easily have used her student ID to throw people off by using it somewhere on campus. If he had been on campus talking to her, people knew that they were dating, so they wouldn't have thought it was weird.
100%.
And like you said, who else would have had her old name tag, and who else would have known her PIN number, and who else would have known?
He seemed to have been.
You know what I mean?
Like
if
he seemed to have been trying to control parts of her life. Like, you must call me to let me know. It wasn't like, oh, I just want to know you're home safe. Yeah. You know, let me know. Oh.
And he couldn't take the fact that she wasn't answering him. Like, he immediately called her parents, which good that he did. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong if you're worried. I'm just saying I don't feel like he did it because he was genuinely worried. I feel like he was doing all of this.
Why not call the roommates? And you know he had roommates' numbers.
Why didn't he just go to the campus? Why didn't he call campus police to go check on her? Why didn't he call her job to see if she was working late? I just feel like the things that he did were to try to make it look like he gave a shit and was trying to throw off suspicion. Yeah. I don't think that he genuinely...
There were a lot of things he could have done instead of going, oh, by the way, your daughter's missing because 12 hours have passed and she hasn't called me.
Right. I just feel like I would be panicking, right? Like, I just feel most normal people would, I don't know.
Go through all the other options.
Yeah.
Go to her dorm, knock on the door, talk to her roommates, go to her job, do all of those things. Yes. You're right.
And again, I feel like if she had been kidnapped, the kidnapper would want more than $20. They're not just going to use her PIN to take $20 at a time and risk getting caught and going to jail for $20. You know what I mean? I just feel like he knew that was her spending habits and it wouldn't be suspicious. So, anyways.
And you got lucky that there was no camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the case, again, remains open. State police continue to follow up on leads. Within a year of their daughter's disappearance, Doug and Mary had begun lobbying for changes in New York law to address what they saw as shortcomings of the original investigation. From a victim support group, they learned of a California couple who had successfully lobbied legislators to make a similar change to their daughter, Kristen Smart, who had gone missing in 1996 from a college campus in that state. They reached out to the state legislators, who sponsored a bill formerly known as the Campus Safety Act, but referred to it as Suzanne's Law, and it required colleges and universities in the state to have detailed plans for the investigation of violent felonies and missing person cases that occurred on campus, as well as reporting the latter promptly to the state. It passed, and on April 6, 1999, which would have been Suzanne's 21st birthday, Governor George Pataki, sorry, I said that wrong, signed it into law, with institutions of higher learning required to be in compliance by the beginning of 2000. The parents then focused their efforts on getting federal law changed to increase the age at which local police must report missing persons to the National Crime Information Center from 17 to 21. So anytime anyone, 21 and younger went missing, it needed to immediately be reported. No more of this they're just adults. They'll come back. In 2003, President George W. Bush signed into law the PROTECT Act of 2003, an ominous bill of measures meant to protect children from various types of harm, in which had been included another Suzanne's Law making that change. It also allowed police departments to report those cases to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as well, from which they could receive additional services like the flyer and poster creation, as well as age progression technology. All of that would be available to them now. That same year, man, when I tell you, they were like hardcore advocates. That same year, her parents attended a conference at which other families of missing persons spoke. They were particularly struck by one woman's speech, and when they talked to her afterwards, she told them, "I could have laid in bed with a cover over my head for years, but I decided to really get out there and talk about this." And the couple decided to follow that example. Mary began speaking publicly about her experience, and she and Doug founded the Center for Hope, which, in addition to disseminating information about missing persons and educating law enforcement about its increased responsibilities under the new laws, provides support to their families of the missing. The parents continued their lobbying efforts, which in 2008 resulted in another federal law named for their daughter. The Suzanne Lyall Campus Safety Act was enacted nationwide, and the provisions similar to those in the 1999 New York state law. It required that colleges and universities have in place policies that clearly line out the role of campus, local, and state police agencies in investigating a violent crime or disappearances on campus in order to reduce the sort of confusion and delays that the Lyalls believed had hindered the investigation of Suzanne's disappearance during the days immediately afterward. Like the 2003 legislation, it was passed by being incorporated into a larger related bill called the Higher Education Opportunity Act. Doug unfortunately died in 2015. His wife continues both their activism and their search for Suzanne. Over the years, 75 psychics have contacted them with tips. Many of them have involved water, suggesting that Suzanne has passed away and her body has been submerged in water somewhere. While Mary has dismissed them, noting that there are so many bodies of water in the Capital District as to make that information really vague to be useful. She nevertheless told in an interview of the Daily Gazette in 2016 that she has persistently experienced an odd feeling anytime she has driven across the Crescent Bridge along U.S. Route 9 over the Mohawk River between Albany and Ballston Spa. In June of that year, a reporter from the newspaper went along with her as a local firm that does high-tech mapping applied its technology to the river's bottom in that area. But however, nothing significant was found. So as a recap here, just some of the theories. Like I said, there are so many, because I want to say there was even, I don't remember what famous serial killer it was now. Maybe I'll talk about it. I don't remember if I wrote it down, but they thought there was a famous serial killer involved. I mean, there was just so many different things. Okay, so it's possible that Suzanne encountered someone with ill intentions after getting off the bus, that she had gotten on the bus, she got off the bus where she was supposed to, something happened.
Stranger danger.
The Collins Circle bus stop was a very dimly lit area, and while the campus had security measures, it was not uncommon for students to walk alone at night. So she could have been walking alone. Someone could have easily grabbed her before she made it to the dorm. And because there was a parking lot, it would have been very easy to just get someone in a car and go. The second theory, or multiple theories, are that it was foul play by someone she knew. Investigators considered whether Suzanne may have willingly gone with someone. No evidence technically has surfaced to 100% support this theory. And as I mentioned, Richard has publicly denied involvement and refuses to speak about it any further. To me, again, him being the killer is really the only thing that makes sense to me. Again, this is just my opinion and also Mary's opinion. It is clear by the things that she has said that Mary very much thinks it's Richard. She has made it very well known that she thought it was Richard this entire time.
Wow.
She thinks it's Richard. She says that she feels he is directly responsible for her daughter's disappearance. She said that it would explain how Susie could disappear in plain sight. She said nobody pays any attention to someone walking over and quietly getting into a vehicle in a crowded campus parking lot. If Susie had spotted Richard waiting in his car or he had signaled her, she would have simply gone over and gotten in the car. Perhaps she had called him from a payphone in the mall on a break from work or on the store phone, and this had been like prearranged meeting. Alternatively, she could have gotten into the car with Richard and another male. Remember, he had a friend who was his alibi that said they were playing video games together.
That's right.
And then it also said, you know, it's possible that she could have just gotten in the car with someone else, but I mean, really.
But so the person who said they saw her get off the bus, you said the bus stop was in a parking lot?
Yeah, like in the parking lot of the campus. Like
Okay.
But it was very dimly lit. The person saw her in passing, that she got off. I mean, again, she didn't say that she saw her go to the dorm. She simply saw her getting off the bus.
And didn't see which direction she was going, or if
Correct.
she had gotten into a car, or if she was walking towards a car.
And again, if she
just
was talking
off the
to her
bus.
boyfriend, it wouldn't have been suspicious, even though it wasn't mentioned. Like, the person just said they saw her get off the bus at 9:40. Again, Susie had, and multiple people had said that they were having trouble in their relationship. Again, Susie had tried unsuccessfully multiple times to break up with Richard, which, as we all know, this can put a person in a very dangerous situation.
Very dangerous.
Richard was all of the evidence and all of in the articles I read and the interviews point to Richard being a very controlling man. He often referred to himself as an alpha. And seemed to have been at the center of a miniature cult of coders and gamers, of which Susie was a part of. Remember that he refused to even speak to police when law enforcement wanted to question. Like, no one in this group of friends of his or this little cult that he had going on would speak to the police. It was Richard had them all in control.
What's
they
his
would not
last
speak.
name?
Condon.
Condon. All right.
This was not the sort of individual who was used to being told no, and certainly not being dumped.
Power and control.
Richard's open letter, which he had on his own website, which when I looked was still like, it was up. He wrote an open letter to the person, and I use this in quotes, responsible for Susie's disappearance, read as a straight narcissist. This was something that Mary had said. It said, was there a deep-seated bit of conscience and guilt calling himself a coward rather than some boogeyman out there who had got away with it? Was it addressed to a family member who committed a crime in which Richard was now complicit? That too could be a remote possibility. But then it might just be the bravado of a typical sociopath seeking to earn, basically pats on the back for his brave calling out of the monster who stole his beloved fiance from him. And again, please note, no one else
They were married.
or engaged.
Yeah.
He was the only one that ever stated that she was his fiance, which to me just makes it, he's like delusional. Basically Mary said in
narcissism.
death, it made Susie even more of a possession of his by calling her his fiance. So it gets weirder though, because we learn that Richard's father deliberately misled police by pretending to see Susie alive on numerous occasions. The police set up a sort of sting operation to catch him at his game, and they did catch him lying. Now you may ask yourself, why would anyone go to these extremely in-depth, harmful, and evil lengths if not bound up in this criminal plot to protect his son? It would appear that he was definitely either covering up for Richard himself or his wife, because his family did not like Susie. They felt
Why?
Susie was beneath Richard and he deserved to be with someone better. His parents,
Wasn't she like a badass? Sorry, go ahead.
His parents were a whole nother story. I probably could have taught 45 minutes about his family. We also learned that Richard comes into the police station to try to glean. I don't know what that means. What the police have learned. Oh, basically learn what the police have learned, but in a way the investigator considers especially suspicious. He leaves the precinct in a short order without having any satisfaction. Soon thereafter, the entire family of Richard lawyers up and refuses to speak to the police about the investigation. Every member of his family has a different lawyer. His mother, his father, him. People.
Wow. If that isn't sus, like...
People seem to also think it's kind of weird that Richard exclaimed during a meeting with the police that Susie and I are the only ones who know that PIN number, when it is revealed that the number was entered correctly in the ATM machine on the first hit the day after Susie's disappearance, which either Susie was alive and she was willingly doing it or being forced to do it, which is weird. The clerk wouldn't have noticed her, or Richard had that PIN number and was using it because... Also, it was thought that maybe Richard had the card and he made someone in that little cult of his that would not be recognized go to the ATM and withdraw the money.
And what did their cult do?
Like created video games, that kind of thing. His outburst was just this attempt to underscore that was an outsider who used the card in the wrong side of town. There are so, like, when I tell you I cut out so much about Richard's parents and his family and how bizarre they fucking were about this. I mean, it's just crazy.
They were in protective mode. They were
in suspicious as fuck mode.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't like Susie. There was just so much about it. And, anyways... I think Richard's responsible. Most people think Richard's responsible. Mary thinks he's responsible. Honestly, he is so suspicious. So another theory, let's assume that Richard is innocent because whatever. Another possibility is that Suzanne simply fell victim to a random crime while walking back to her dorm. The lack of witnesses and surveillance footage leaves the theory unconfirmed because, again, no cameras, no witnesses. Voluntary disappearance. Again,
I'm so glad we have cameras. Like, honestly, I am. I'm glad there's cameras now.
They said voluntary disappearance. It was considered, but this has been largely dismissed. Suzanne left her belongings. Her family insisted she wouldn't leave for no reason
because she was planning on coming back.
Yeah, she had no reason to leave. The only thing that wasn't good in her life was Richard, who she had tried to leave multiple times.
Yes. Yeah.
Victim of a serial killer. Okay, so I did make note of it. It said in recent years, many have theorized that Israel Keyes might have been responsible for her disappearance. In 1998, he lived in Constable, New York, which is 3.5 hours away from Susie's college. Later that same year, he enlisted in the Army, which was in Albany. Some aspects of Susie's case appear to be consistent with his MO. For example, he has been known to ask his victims for their PIN number and would make withdrawals using their debit card. Initially, he frequented places like parking lots when looking for potential victims. However, there are no actual solid ties to Israel Keyes in Susie's case. It was just another one of those theories that it could have been, again, Richard.
I did a 2-parter on Israel Keyes. If you're wondering who that is, he was a monster. Go listen to those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books on that one for that one. Oof, that was like intense. That was intense. He was an evil dude.
So clearly there's a lot of questions. Mainly the 2 biggest ones being who used Suzanne's student ID card? Who used her ATM card?
Yep.
Others are like, why has there been no trace of her at all whatsoever? No sightings, no reports, no evidence, none of her clothing, nothing. The case is open. I'm going to read you Richard's letter. Okay, this is the letter that Richard wrote and put on his website. Okay. Recently, I have been asked by many people a lot of questions regarding the disappearance of my fiancée, Susie, and how I feel now that the anniversary of her disappearance is nearly upon us. This is one question, however, that seems to be asked more frequently than most of the rest. How do you feel about the person or persons that are responsible for Susie being missing? The first time I was asked this question, I had to pause for a moment. I hadn't really thought about that aspect of things, but slowly a single word began to form in my mind: coward. Nothing more, nothing less, simply the word coward. I began to think about the type of person that would do something like this, the type of person that would take a kind, sweet, loving girl from her loved ones, the type of person that doesn't have the guts to own up to their actions. The type of person who would allow the friends, families, and loved ones of Susie to go on for so long and not knowing anything. Ultimately, I realized that to me, there was no better word for this person than a simple coward.
I'm sorry.
Not only is this person a coward, but so are their friends. I read somewhere recently the statement, "No man is an island," and I couldn't agree more. Someone somewhere has to know more about the situation and what happened, and they too are cowards.
Oh my gosh.
They may think they're protecting a loved one or a friend, but to them I pose this question: what are you protecting? A thief, a rapist, a child molester, or even a murderer? What if you were the one missing a loved one? Wouldn't you want someone like you to come forth and help? And to the person or persons who are directly involved in my loved one's disappearance, I have to say this: you are a coward, and otherwise would not be worth spending more than a moment's thought of on if it were not for this situation. You have destroyed the lives of 2 families and have severely affected many, many more. Maybe you think you have an excuse for what you did. Maybe you think that because something happened to you in your childhood, it gives you an excuse to act like this now. It doesn't. You are responsible for your actions and what you have done, but apparently too scared as a child is of the night to take that responsibility. Maybe for once in your life, you should do the right and honorable thing. Or does the fear control you? We miss you, Susie. Richard Condon, New York.
I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
This is his legit website. It's darklight.com. So feel free. It has poetry and photographs of Susie.
And this man is still free.
Yeah, he has a whole, one thing on it is called photographs, and it says, below you will find a collection of pictures of Susie. Click on it to get a larger version. Feel free to copy or distribute them as you see fit. And it's literally just a ton. Well, not a ton. It's like a handful of pictures of Susie. Only 2 of those pictures or 3 of those pictures are of them together. Everything else are just up close pictures of her and her missing flyers. Then he has poetry of Susie on his website that she wrote.
Do you have it up?
Yeah.
Let me see it.
The pictures?
Let's see what she looks like.
That's what they look like.
He's a killer.
Yeah, right? He's got the serial killer glasses, guys.
He has a serial killer glasses.
You know what I'm talking about. He's got them. But yeah, this is Susie. And I'll post the link to it's darklight.com.
Oh.
But then you go to poetry, and it's just about all of Susie's poetry that I have ever seen has remained untitled, and as such, I am simply going to provide a numbered link to each page. I refuse to give my own titles to works of art that are not my own. All works
you may
here.
not link directly to this page or any of the works that it links to. You may, however, link to the main page.
Yeah, Rich Condon has been solely entrusted to maintain these works.
No, he
Who
hasn't.
entrusted you?
Nobody entrusted him.
Are these even her poems? Jesus. And then it says apologies for given for having to impose these rules. At the time of Susie's disappearance, one of the local TV news stations got a hold of some of these poems, read certain phrases completely out of context on the air.
How does he know he didn't write them?
And then started claiming that she was suicidal simply based on their superior investigating skills. We do not want a repeat of that.
Okay, well, people interpret art differently. Every person interprets a piece of art differently.
Also, they were probably written about you. So.
And if it says, you make me feel like I'm crazy.
And then there's a links page for anyone concerned that has her Wikipedia page, an article about 20 years look back, and FBI kidnapped a missing persons page. And then a contact page if you would like to reach out to him directly.
No thanks.
Or her father. He did list her father on here, which I'm really shocked. But anyways, so that's his letter.
Does Dad not think that he did it?
Her dad passed away.
Oh.
But when he was alive, yes.
He did. He did think he did it. Okay.
I don't know what to tell you guys other than I think he is just full of shit. I think Richard did it. Honestly, honest to God, I just don't understand how they could never, unless the people in this little cult or the fact that his family probably had a lot of money
to protect him.
I think that that it was Richard. His family had the means to cover it up for him. He had this ridiculous alibi. He had this little cult following who would have done pretty much anything to protect him. So, yeah. Anyways, the case is still open. If you by some chance have any information about it, you can contact the New York State Police, or you can use Richard's website and contact him if you prefer. But anyways, that's my story. It's very unfortunate because Suzanne was it seems that she was a very truly loving person, very caring, very family oriented, very educational focused. She had a routine.
She was consistent.
Yeah. She was dependable,
responsible, and then all of a sudden, she ran away.
This man took her life and then wrote a letter about it and is pretending that he didn't do it. And I don't care if I get sued. I think he did it.
Yeah.
I guess allegedly, so I don't get sued, but I think he did it. I mean, honestly, how often is it not the boyfriend?
If it's your opinion, can you get sued?
I don't know. I don't really care at this point.
I don't really. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, so it's still unsolved. Her, like I said, the family continues. You know,
I hope that they find some peace and find some answers.
Yeah.
And no body, right? There's no body yet.
Yeah.
Right.
The amount of advocacy they did, the amount of laws they got passed, the changes are really, they have helped so many other families find their missing loved ones. And so her missing is not in vain. They are helping others. It is just very unfortunate that she had to go missing for all of that to happen, for the laws to be made and changed.
Did they do DNA swabs of anything? I know that there's nothing found. There's no found, like, they wouldn't have done it then, I guess. But like, did they take any? I don't know.
They didn't find any.
There's nothing.
Like I said, they never found any
really
physical
just
evidence.
disappeared. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
are they asking if there's anyone, if you have information?
If you do, yeah,
okay.
That's the New York. There is, I don't know if it's still involved. I assume it would be. There was a $25,000 reward. I will say that her mother's now, is in her 80s, 81, 82 now. And she's still very much, talks about Suzanne. Very much, she'll still do interviews. She still talks about her. And she's never ever given up that hope. So like I said, if you want to look up the story, there's a lot about Richard's family. There's a lot of different theories. But just know at the end of the day that it's truly, I hate to say it, but to me, it just seems, I know I keep saying it, but it sounds like him.
A domestic
She tried
issue.
to leave multiple times. He wouldn't let her.
Right.
She was very unhappy.
Right.
She told the coworker someone was stalking her. He knew her PIN number. He knew her habits. I just don't know who else it could be.
He announced, we're the only two that know her PIN number.
And was calling her his fiance. That's so bizarre.
So weird.
So.
Because that makes him her property.
Yeah.
That makes her his property.
And she can't refute it because she's missing.
Because she's missing. And everyone's like, she never told us, but it was true, you know, in his, that's gross.
And like I said, he went and take a polygraph test. His entire family lawyered up. His father was lying about seeing her different places. Like, damn, like, why would you even try to give the family hope like that?
Isn't that considered
Why did the father not get charged?
obstruction?
Yes. I'm telling you, they had money and they had power.
Power and control. Well, shit. Well, I got a good story next week, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I'm excited.
I know. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone had a great holiday.
Yes. Thank you for coming back to us.
Thank you for coming back to us. I know, taking a couple of weeks off, but it's a new year, new us. 2025. Oh my god. I was really promoting our podcast today.
I know.
You heard me and I have a podcast.
Everyone loves true crime.
Everybody loves true crime. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Until then, see something, say something, and we'll see you next week. Bye.